At this time, I'd like to introduce Kristin Carter-Groulx. Good morning. I'd like to give a little bit of a background. Kristin is author of several children's books, including books in the My Day In series, Humphrey the Humpback Whale, Write Me from the Moon. She's a professional genealogist when not writing fiction books. She's a trained actress and uses her craft to bring her characters to life. I actually have an autographed copy of her book, My Day in Perth, in my library. Please give a warm welcome to Kristin. You are a very busy woman, and it's a pleasure to have you here this morning. Please take us back to your early years in your career. Why did you decide to become a writer, and why children's books?
Actually, I didn't start writing children's books until this past year. I started my career, I was working as an editor in 2004 for another author friend of mine that I went to high school with when I went to high school in Japan. And I was encouraged by him to participate in NaNoWriMo, which is a novel writing contest, 50,000 words in 1 month's time. And so I did that in November, and I won, and then 3 years later I published that book after many, many rejection letters and people telling me they didn't want another Harry Potter author, things like that. But it was still a great series and had a lot to say, so I published the first book, and then consecutively every year after I published 7 more. So from that, I took a little break. I moved out west. I wrote a biography about my great-grandmother, who was a 1920s newspaper journalist down in the States. And then, as you know, I worked in the museum for a little bit, and I had all the great knowledge, and so then I started wanting to put more about the town of Perth. I wanted to write a book about that. So I'll let you have the mic.
Thank you very much. A fascinating beginning, but tell us a little bit about the book you wrote about your grandmother. I'm really interested.
I actually have a copy of it with me if you wanted to visit my table. It's Demi Tass and Mrs. Grundy. My great-grandmother, her name was Josephine Vandegrift, and she was a writer from a very young age. She was invited to be part of George Baker's Harvard 47 in the 1920s, I think it was 1923 that she was invited, and they called it the Baker's Dozen. She was one of 12, and her screenplay was, or her one-act play was selected, so she was able to participate and go to a Harvard workshop. Through that, George told her, she should get involved in writing, and she let him know she was already working in the newspaper. And so he actually encouraged her to just write about what she knew. So she went back, and her column, Demi Tass and Mrs. Grundy, was born. And so the daily life in the 1920s. So I wrote a book. I transcribed all of those for 3 years. Unfortunately, she died unexpectedly in 1927. There were many people that tried to save her life, blood transfusions from various co-workers, and when she died, Front Page News had her photograph and said vacant desk, and it just left a very big hole in the people because they really loved her writing. And so I'm hoping through her spirit that I'm able to keep my writing. She's able to kind of live on her dream through me, so to speak, because she died at 33 with a 2-year-old daughter, and so she didn't get a chance to do all the fun things she wanted to do.
Thank you for that. A fascinating lady, and obviously, the writing is literally in your blood, in the genes. That's for sure. Could you share with us how you come up with your ideas for your writing and your books? I was doing some research last night and going through all the list of the different titles of the books that you've written, and the one thing that occurred to me was, how does Kristin come up with these ideas?
Very creatively. Sometimes, when I was doing the young adult series, I would actually write the chapter titles first, and then I would write the chapters. I do things backwards. When I did Sir Canterlot, I actually wrote the prose first, so if you flip it over, there's 2 stories in one, and I wrote, so I write poetry, and then I write other stories. So for the My Day in Perth book, there was a need. When I worked at the museum, I had a lot of people ask if there was something for children about Perth, and I said no, and I said, but I'm an author and I'm in the process of writing one, and because we want to preserve this beautiful town and all the history in it, who better to aim a book at than the children who are going to grow up in Perth to want to preserve and treasure the history. So I made a book filled with all the knowledge that I had. So it's kind of a creative need. These ones, I have autistic children, and so Humphrey is an autistic children's book about an autistic humpback whale. Sir Canterlot is about a little boy who he needs a little encouragement. He says he can't do things a lot, so he just needs to be empowered. And so my book company, my new imprint, Turtle Ridge Children's Book, which I opened last year. These are the 3 first books that came out of it. And it's basically about children who have obstacles, to not see them so much as obstacles and challenges, but to just grow and to realize that their challenges might actually be pretty awesome, and they might have gifts that they can share with the world. You never know what's hiding inside of somebody.
I love the phrase, you never know what's hiding in somebody. Everybody's got a book in them. I don't know about me, but there you go. You mentioned your book, My Day in Perth, and I have an autographed copy at home, and I remember when you released the book and I visited you at the museum. Would you be kind enough to share some reading of that book from us? It's a wonderful book, folks. All of us are very, very proud to be living in Perth. Wonderful photography, wonderful writing. It's really a gem. So we're really looking forward to you reading some of the book with us. Okay, you're much more talented than I am. I'll let you go ahead.
So I have the table of contents here, and I wanted to point out, I did create a map for the book, and so I have the maps at my table as well, but each of the pictures, where it is on the map, I created these little special magnets, so to speak, and that tells you where I was standing when I took the photo. This is the map, and I designed this using an RPG gaming program, so if somebody wants to design their own maps, they can just go to one of these programs. I did all the artwork for it. One thing, not only do I do the writing, but I do the photography, and I do the book design as well. So cover to cover. So if you like, I can read a few pages. So this one's called Codes Mill. We visited Codes Mill. It used to be a wool and felting mill built in 1841. The outside of the building is Edwardian architecture from the earlier 20th century. Codes Mill is made up of Perth stone, sandstone, and limestone from Hughes Quarry. Perth stone is a lavender purple colored sandstone distinctive to Perth. A little history. Lete River towpath went right along the canal. We saw lots of wildlife, including birds, turtles, fish, and even a river otter. The path continues for many kilometers and has pathfinder markers, which look a little like arrows on posts and trees. Green markers go upstream, and red markers are going downstream. The group called Friends of the Tay Watershed are helpful talking about the entire water system relating to Perth and all of the wildlife that live there too. The Beckwith Bridge is a historic swing bridge built in 1889 and one of the oldest metal bridges in Ontario. It is cranked by hand-turned, to open and close. The sign next to it reads maximum weight 7 tons. That is equal to 1 African elephant or 2 small cars. The bridge is next to the bridge master's house. And this page, sorry. I'm stuck. So I was showing the Perth Library. I don't know if many people know that the Perth Library used to be the old fire tower. So soon after visiting the Macmillan Building, we went to the new Perth Library, which used to be the old fire hall, built in 1855. The tower part is super tall, since that is where they used to hang the hoses to dry, so they wouldn't freeze with ice. The library moved into this building in 1981, the year after the big fire. The inside of the library is very colorful. The children's and youth sections are on the 2nd floor, and they have couches and places to read. Just telling a little bit about the story of the town. And upcoming, just next week, we have the Perth Night Market, so I have that mentioned here. So in the fall, the town closes down a few of its main streets, so only people can walk there, no cars. During a very special event called the Perth Night Market, vendors of all types line the streets outdoors, entertainers play music while walking on tall stilts, and others perform fire shows and sidewalk art. We walked from one of the food vendors to the next one up the street and down to another. So many great foods to try. We stayed out until after dark, until late. Even the stores were open until after dark, and everyone decorated their stores with lights. So it's just to encourage different activities of the town.
Well, thank you for that, Kristin, and it's a wonderful book, and I encourage you to go to Kristin's table to have a look at the book, and I encourage you to buy it. Now, one last question before you leave. I understand you have a new book coming out in the spring of 2026. It's called Petal the Flower Fairy. Could you give us a little bit of a glimpse as to what that book is all about? I love the title.
I can give a glimpse, but just a glimpse. So I'm currently dressed as Queen Bee. She's one of the fairies in the story. Petal is the main fairy, and she actually evolved out of me going to Renaissance festivals to sell my other books. And as I was sitting there, I just started writing a story, and then I started meeting all these wonderful people dressed in costume, and they started becoming characters in my story, and it's sort of evolving from that. And so I'm having a lot of fun. I'm handwriting it, so it's all in my own hand in cursive, nothing computer, nothing chat or anything like that. And so that makes it unique. When I publish it, I'm actually going to be extrapolating 3 books out of it. So I'm writing it first as I write kind of like a Peter Pan, Narnia, like ages 8 to 13. From that, I'll extrapolate a children's book, something more simple, like kind of like I did with my day approach, just make it simple for smaller readers. And then to honor my time in Japan, I'm also going to do a manga book, a graphic novel, which reads this way. So 3 books, all about the same storyline, and it'll be a lot of fun. I've had so much fun doing it.
This sounds really, really exciting. Kristin, I want to thank you very much for your time this morning. A warm round of applause for Kristin, everyone. Thank you very much, and make sure you visit Kristin at her table. Thank you.